fucked up. So, next topic.
What's the next one?
Now we end every episode with Chicago shit. We like to talk about Chicago, things that's going on, if there's anything in the news, anything local, that people know. And last episode it was Jason Van Dyke because we couldn't get the episode before that. But this episode, Academics, what do you say?
So like DJ Academics was on, he was on Everyday Struggle, and DJ Academics said that he blames Chicago drill rap for new artists being incarcerated and doing the type of crimes they're doing. So for example, Melly, I think it's YWM Melly. He's been charged with the murder of his two friends. He has a song called "Murder on My Mind" where he talks about killing someone, and it seems to be his friend. And then after the song, he was two of his friends were killed, and he's been charged with that murder. Whether he did it or not is all allegations. We don't know. We're not saying that. At the end, also you have you got Kodak Black, you got Tay K, you got all these guys who probably was 12 to 15 years old when the drill music came into play. In 2012, these niggas was like preteens, and now they big on the rap scene. They young. These niggas is 18 years old. So you 18 in 2019, in 2012. You was motherfucking
I was 18.
11. You know what I'm saying? You was a kid, G. And they grew up. So they grew up on Keith. They grew up on Dirk. They grew up on, you know what I'm saying? The shit that became hot to us as adults. So we knew better. We knew that this shit was just music, but these kids might not do the same. So DJ Academics was saying that he blames Chicago rap for not only promoting the violence, but also making niggas feel like it's no consequence. Like, as far as Keith could say, we could say, like, Keith and Reese, they had they situations when they first got hot, and they could say, like, okay, this nigga's really dead. We really talked about killing this nigga.
And they still...
But we didn't go to jail. So it made it
seem...
Right. So DJ Academics' point is, like, it made it seem like you could really commit these types of crimes, and that's just it. You know what I'm saying?
First of all, somebody needs to slap the fuck out of him. I don't like him, just saying. But, second of all, coincidentally, he might have a point.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because when Chief Keef and Dirk and all them got hot, they was legit shorties. They was 15, 17, right? When they first started rapping, right? They was young.
Keith was 15.
Yeah, they was young, right? So I don't think it necessarily made younger people be like, oh, I could do this and I could do that. I think it more so made the younger people who was involved in it say, I can have a rap career. I think it's the opposite. I think it just brought the violent people out to try to be rappers, but didn't make rappers violent people, if that makes sense. So if you willing to, like the dude in jail, right? What's his name?
Y-N-M
Melly, right? We just call that Melly. The Melly dude in jail, right? Double murder. Shorty probably shot at somebody or had committed a murder way back when. Like, he probably been on that for a while. But when he seen people like the drill rappers that rap about this shit and they shorties, he like, well, damn, I could be a rapper too. So I don't think it made rappers into killers or made young kids into killers. I think it more so made these young kids who was wild as hell, was already willing to do that shit, look at rap as a source of income or a source of popularity. So I think that was already in them. It was already in them, but they like, damn, he can rap? Fuck it, I'm gonna rap too. So I feel like that was already in. Hey, except for Tekashi.
I think.
Hey, you gonna drink that?
That one in.
You want? You gonna
drink it?
Do you want it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I'm a quote person. I don't know.
Damn.
Right.
You ain't sitting on it. Go.
I'm really a quote person, and like, so long story short, it was his grandfather and his grandson, and the grandfather was telling the grandson about good demons and bad demons, right? And the grandson said, "Well, which demons end up winning?" And he said, "The ones you feed." And I feel like when you said their thought was they already had this mentality, it's the fact that if I listen to something and it's telling me to do this, if I'm already contemplating suicide, I took an anthropology class and it was talking about Ozzy Osbourne. You know, Ozzy Osbourne had like a side, he spoke on suicide. Mm-hmm. So, this boy, he was listening to the song, he was already contemplating suicide, and he ended up killing himself. And they took that and they sued them.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, they sued the company that basically like distributes his music and stuff like that. And they won. And I'm saying that to say this: when you feed those demons, they gonna win. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and it's so crazy because I feel like I always wanted to defend Chicago. But Chicago ain't the only people that talk about killing motherfuckers either, though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You got motherfuckers Lil Wayne didn't talk about killing motherfuckers. Go ahead.
So, we're not the only people who talk about killing people. We're the only form of rap that sensationalized it to the point where, Wayne to say like, oh, I'll come through and shoot the block up and this nigga gonna be on a t-shirt. These niggas have made songs about it. These niggas have made songs about it. Lil Wayne is saying, I'll come through and shoot the block up and kill this nigga and put him on a t-shirt. Drill rap was saying, I did come through, I killed this nigga, this
now
is his
he
name.
on my t-shirt.
And he's really on a t-shirt. This shit, and at the end of their video, it's R.I.P. this nigga. Mm-hmm. Like, this shit really happened for real. Like,
and I agree, that's what I was saying. They're not the only one we're not the only one that talked about the shit. You know what I'm saying? But what you call it said, Biggie said, who shot you? You get what I'm saying? Like, and it I don't know if Biggie really shot him, but he came like, shit, well, who shot you? I know your ass got shot, but who did it? You know what I'm saying? But he never came out and was like, yeah, I shot you.
I got one comment on that. I also feel like Biggie was a grown-ass man. All of them was grown-ass men. So, yeah, they was beefing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But if anybody knows the problem in Chicago, it's not grown men. Yeah. It's the youth. Yeah. Like, you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, our youth, wild as hell. People ask me all the time, oh, visiting Chicago and all this and that. I tell them, if a motherfucker you see 20-something years old walking down the street 2 o'clock in the morning, you good. If you see a shorty, if you see a 15-year-old walking at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, get the fuck from out of there, because he on that. You get what I'm saying? So it's different when Biggie, like, Tupac gets shot, he put out a diss record. Mind you, his came out first. Tupac's came out first. So Biggie responded with, who shot you? Shorty's from Chicago saying, when we catch you, it's a rap. This nigga get killed. I told you when we caught you, it was a rap. Like, you get what I'm saying? So
the difference is
it's like you're living your raps. When you live your raps, or even if you ain't the person doing it, but you have those connections to have it be done, when you live your raps, it's totally different. Everybody knew Tekashi 6ix9ine wasn't living his raps. He made it sound good, but in the back of everybody's mind, we all was like, alright, nigga, like, but when it's all said and done, and now it's starting to prove to be true. So it's just like, academics has a point, but to an extent.
But this is, and like I said, it's to a point I do agree with him, but another thing, and this, Nicki Minaj ain't nobody that's gonna be like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna kill you. But she did say this when she said, she exposes her body a lot, and people came at her like, you are a role model for these kids. And she was like, now you raise your own kids. I'm not responsible for what you know what I'm saying, what you see or what you do. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Like, at some point, we can't be like, Chicago is responsible for this. Chicago ain't responsible for shit. You're responsible for what you choose to do, what you choose to feed. You get what I'm saying? Because shit, then if I grew up in a house and my mama was beating my daddy, you get what I'm saying? Is my mama responsible for me beating my man? Nah. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm responsible for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, she may be the person I saw do it, but she's not. I have to be responsible for what I do.
You don't gotta be responsible for it. You gotta be accountable for it. It's a difference.
So who do you think is responsible?
Your mama might be responsible for it, 'cause she might be the person who made it happen. She might be the person who put that spirit in.
So what's the difference between accountability?
Accountability might mean you might have to, even your mama is the reason why it happened, you got to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and I think that's this is the thing.
Is.
But and if there is consequences, then I will deal with it. If there's consequences, then I have to be accountable. Right. You get what I'm saying? I don't have to choose who's accountable for it, because if I did the shit, I'm accountable for it. If I have consequences regarding that, you get what I'm saying? So it's like that's not something you choose whether you have consequences. You know what I'm saying? Just in that instance, and just in this instance, if you kill somebody, you don't be like, oh, I choose whether or not I'm gonna be accountable for this. No, you gonna be accountable. You get what I'm saying?
That's why I say he was part right, because like what you said.
And that's what I'm saying.
You gotta get raised. That's why I say they already gotta have it in them. They was already raised wrong from the jump, so it's already in them.
I feel like, regardless of how you're raised by your parents, your culture has more influence on you than your parents. Your friends have more influence on you than your parents. My parents never told me to do a lot of the shit that I did. My friends, the circles I came up around influenced my behavior. Mm-hmm. My parents taught me right from wrong. They don't have shit to do with what I was doing. Now, could they keep me from right and wrong? Could they keep me in the right circles? That's a different story. Could they afford to send me to a different school? That's a different story. Mm-hmm. But the people my parents didn't choose my friends. So my parents when I get home at 5 o'clock to when I go to sleep at 9 o'clock, I do eat dinner at 9 o'clock. Them 4 hours a day, they might have that influence. The rest of the day, who won't win?
Exactly. But this is the thing. When it comes to that, when they turn on that music, you get what I'm saying? They turn on that music and they say, I'm about to listen to this. You made a conscious decision that I'm about to turn this on.
But at the same time out to you. And I said this on the episode before. When I was in high school, I knew it was gonna be bullshit going to school. Coming from 103rd and Halsted to St. Knife and Vincennes. Taking the 80. I knew it was gonna be certain bullshit I had to deal with. So I used to listen to Get 'Em, Dedication 2, song number 2, Get 'Em, every morning. Because it got me in a mode that where if some niggas get on bullshit, I might get jumped on, but somebody get knocked the fuck out, G. That was the move. And it was because of the music. It was nothing else that could have prepared me for that situation other than I'm gonna put these headphones on and I'm listening to this shit on repeat until this bus stops. And I'm on that, G.
And
sometimes music goes straight. Grow up. It's like
music goes straight to the soul, G. Mm-hmm. That's why we have workout playlists. It's certain shit you work out to that's gonna make you get them extra reps in.
Or like when you get your heart broken, certain shit that
there's certain shit, the shit goes straight to the soul. So do DJ Academics have a point? Yes. Does the parents' influence in that situation matter? Absolutely, G. But
that's an influence. And that's what I was saying. Like we may have not we, but they may have influence.
I was gonna say you out here.
But we influence.
But you are responsible for your own decisions. And then you are accountable for your actions.
I can easily feel like I listen to all of that shit.
The same shit. When he was speaking on it, was he speaking on children or was he speaking on rappers?
No, he's speaking on niggas that was children when this shit came out. Yeah, so this is the thing. Hold on, this is the thing. So when that shit came out, I listened to all that shit from her. Welcome to Fazo Land, all the Dirk shit, Keith shit when he came. I listened to all that shit. I was a big fan of all that shit. But I was an adult. I was already in college, and I knew the consequences of my actions already. If I was 10 years old when that shit came out, versus when I was 10 years old, I was listening to Kanye West and 50 Cent. 50 Cent was talking about violence, but he wasn't talking about it on a realistic standpoint. Mm-hmm. It was talking about it to the point where I feel like 50 Cent might have really did this shit. Mm-hmm. But
not go out and do it.
It was different, G, because it wasn't it was like the wave that Keith and them made was so realistic. That's a compliment to them, but it's consequences behind that compliment. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, they shit was so, like, I'm making this video about all this violence and I'm really on house arrest in the living room.
Prime example. 50 Cent music.
But at the same time,
is time out like your diss?
It's like I'm talking right now. Chill the fuck out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you said time out like 8 times.
But at the same time,
like when he was saying shh earlier.
If I was 12 years old and I heard Chief Keef, and you know what I'm saying? Like in the realisticness of that situation, would it have affected me different? I didn't have a rapper that was that realistic at that age, so I don't know. But at the same time, I saw Fake Sure Drive post a comment like, yeah, you know, Chicago get all the bad rap for everything, but at the same time, they don't get the credit for certain sounds that they make and certain contributions they make to music, like the Bust Down Tatiana shit. Tatiana, the whole time.
Big came from us.
From Chicago. But is that even positive? Is that something we want to take credit for? That's demeaning women. At the same time, so it just be like, let's really,
like 10 years ago.
Like, what are we really representing
like
is a culture as Chicago. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And this is the thing, like, it's so many things that play into that. That's why I said he's halfway right. Because at 10 years old, you should be monitoring what the fuck your children should be listening to. Because at 10, and though I will say that I don't think that my mom necessarily monitored me, but I didn't, you know what I'm saying? You just really have to, and I think that's something that we should do when we have children. You got to monitor what the fuck they're doing. You get what I'm saying? Because there's so many things that at 10, I ain't gonna say, I knew if you kill somebody, you going to jail. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I didn't know the details of how you get in there and you gotta go through this, you know what I mean? I just knew that. But at 10, I knew that. You get what I'm saying? But and at that point, we didn't really have that much music that was saying, you know, we gonna kill motherfuckers. And that might be a more reason why my mama might not have been monitoring me. You know what I mean? Because she didn't have to worry about that thing. Yeah. But you knowing that this music is out, I think it's necessary for parents
to step up.
Yeah, and realize this is what they're dealing with.
But this one thing though, like, you know, you can monitor your kids. You can't monitor their friends.
Right.
He's saying it's about the environment more.
At the same time, you know everything your kid is watching. But when you send your kid to school and they sit in the class with 30 other third graders or fourth graders,
and all of them got iPhones now,
they know that shit. So whatever they know, your kid is gonna know.
But again, you already, and this is the thing, and I know y'all, you know, it says in the Bible, you might not know this, it says in the Bible, you raise up a child in the way it should go, and they should never depart from that. You get what I'm saying? So if you teach your kid this, it's so crazy. Like I grew up in church, right? I got to college, I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in God at all. But once I became to search for things and look for things, I got back to it. You get what I'm saying? If you teach your kids this and you put this in them, they should never depart from that. They might come back. They might leave, but they gonna come back.
It is too late though.
Because
by the time you got in college, by the time you got in college, you're 18 years old. He just said a 15-year-old. So at the end of the day, it's
but I was down before that.
At what point, like, yeah, you taught your kids this, but in a rebellious state, in a whatever state, you got back into it in college. Motherfucker might not get back into it till 24 years old, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, it's like, when they get back into it, it might be too late. At the end of the day, the influence of your friends and your environment is going to weigh heavier than the influence of your parents. I might speak for myself when I say that. I feel like my parents didn't know what the fuck they was talking about. When my parents talked about gangs and shit, my father was talking about Black Keystone Rangers took over the movie theater. He talking about Gaddafi. He talking about ancient shit that in his mind, it was just a different time. So I didn't feel like, yeah, you know what you're talking about for your time, but you don't know the street. You don't know what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
I for my closing opinion, I think Academics he has a point, but I just think it's a different how you get to that situation.
I don't think it was well thought out.
Yeah, like he has a point, but how he says like what happened around it, like how it all came together, I don't agree with that. But I just feel like if you that person, I feel like it's already in you. Now people can turn into killers, people can turn bad and all that shit, but for the most part, that shit is in you. But you're right, music can bring it out, right? Music can bring it out. It's in you. You will do it. But if you hearing it, you just might do it. Or you've already done it and then when you hear music about it, now you
Do it
want to
again.
do it
Take it
more,
to the
or
next
even
step.
you want to say, hey, I'm a rap. The melody, anytime you could shoot your two, if convicted and if he's actually guilty, anytime you could shoot two of your best friends and murder them, shorty, you done did some other shit. You don't want your first two bodies, or at least your first two attempts. You get what I'm saying? So I wouldn't say drill music made him into that dude. Drill music made him into the rapper. He was already the killer. The killer was already there. Drill music just taught him how to rap about it and how to say, yeah, this is really the type of nigga that I am. So I do agree.